Hi, I'm Gene. I'm going to take these shed doors on my new shop, and they're great, but I want them to have a little pizzazz. So I'm going to take and steampunk these. So let's get started. Now, first thing I'm going to want to do is take all of this surrounding wood on this door and make it look like steel. So that's going to take painting that something other than brown. But before I do that, I want to decide what I'm going to use on the inside of this. I don't want to weigh it down much more than it already is because the doors are heavy to start with. So I decided to go with cedar fencing posts that I could set inside of this and seal up, and it would have a really great color, the dark and light, which I love the looks of this. This is very light, and I think I can make that work. But now I'm almost wondering, could I split this in half and make this into two pieces, but also making it lighter? So I'm going to try that right now and see if it works on this first one. So taking a quick measurement, if I trimmed these 5.5 inch boards down to 4 3/4 inches, that should be pretty close to fitting these all the way across. Plus, by doing 4 3/4, I can probably max out my blade width is going to be 2.5. So that's going to be, I should be able to cut that right in half. One of the first things I noticed that I did wrong was I forgot to trim my board first, so I've got that 1/2 inch here that's not going to work so well. So I better trim that off and make that difference. There we've got our two pieces, and I think that's going to work out fine. I think we just now need to cut the rest of our boards down and then slice it. Okay, so that gives us 12 boards, and we're good to go. Wow, I'm pretty excited about that. All right, I'm going to use some Color Max Latex Satin Black. That's my base coat on this, and I'm going to paint these sections that are going to close up in the door. I'm going to go ahead and get a coat of paint on these. So now that the doors are painted and I've ripped down my lumber to a thinner piece, I'm going to take the measurements of the doors areas to be cut and start trimming those up. So because of this, I'm going to have to rely on using just liquid nail on these and just putting them up maybe one at a time. Maybe I'd be able to just put up a lot of liquid nail. Let me try. Let me see. Okay. So here goes with our first one. Now here's something that I didn't plan on, but I think it's going to work out great is, remember me cutting basically 3/4 of an inch off all 6 of those boards? Well, those I think are going to work great to put as a trim coming around the window. So I'm going to get started on that. Okay, I've got the wood set into this one, so now let's rinse and repeat, and I'm going to do it on the other door here. Now, for a lot of people, this would be a good place to start. If you like that beautiful natural color with that black frame, that's cool looking, but I just can't leave well enough alone. So what I want to do is add kind of a gray tone splotched into there or tapped into there using a rough torn sponge. Now you can use a natural sponge, which is rough, but usually I just buy cheap sponges and either tear them up or pluck out some of that just to give you that rough look. Doesn't take much paint. You don't have to mix up a whole ton of this color, and just kind of put it onto a piece of cardboard. Dump a little bit of that on there. Just kind of pick up some of this onto the sponge. like that, and then start dabbing it in. But let me put some here too. The edge of this as well. You don't have to get it right to the very edge. You're fine. A little bit of masking tape down here. I don't want it to really go down onto the rubber part too much. The tore up sponge. Just come down here now. Kind of give it a nice. Happy how this looks. The next thing we're going to do is add a little burnishing along the edges of this to almost make it look like that, almost like oiled metal, or even that there's some brass in it that's wearing off on the edges. So I'm going to use some of this metallic paint, but you can, this is kind of a thicker paint, but you can also just buy those standard craft paints like this from the craft store, and these are water-based also, and they're about $1 for a little thing like this, but it's more than enough. And I'll be applying that with just a simple sponge brush. And then I'm gonna get some on my my foam brush and just kind of dry brush some of this out so that I can approach it to the wood. Let's go try it out. So I'm gonna kind of dry some of this out. And then I'm just going to kind of hit the edges a little bit like that. Doesn't have to be all the edges, just occasional. And this is just going to give it a little bit of a wear of getting a little bit of like brass into it. And if you get too much, you can come back and rub some of that back off of it as well. If you guys think I overdid it, tell me in the comments down below. You know, the great thing is it's kind of up to you, and I really don't think you can overdo it. I don't know, it looks a little much, but I'm kind of liking it. I think it's going to level out exactly what I want. I want to cut some corner flanges for the doors that will cover all the seams on them and look like metal plates that are put on there, and it'll help sell that look. Now I'm just going to use some very thin, this is like 1/16 inch plywood, and I'm going to use it on my laser cutter, but you could use the same thing, draw it out easily and cut it out with a jigsaw or a bandsaw or even just a small coping saw. Just test this as to what I'm looking for. And yep, I think that's going to work exactly. These are basically done. The T's and the corner brackets, and I have extra here because I really only needed 4 and 8, and I have some extras, but I had room to play with that, so I'm gonna go with that. So now I'm gonna set these up and tack them into place real quick. There. basic plates into place. And if you notice, these two are different heights. That was a mistake on my part. This to here is exactly the same as this to here. Something should have been flipped over before the window's put in. My bad. I don't know how much it's going to be noticeable and it doesn't affect anything, but hey. Okay. Now I have some very large tacks. I've got some medium, more brassy tacks, and then I have some smaller designed tacks to go on. I'm kind of leaning toward that, just because I think that has more possibility to it. So as much as I love the natural cedar, I really want this set of doors to look more antique and aged out. So I'm going to use some natural stain on this to help soak into the wood, mostly around those edges, so it gives it that aged out look to it. I know some of you may be going, are you crazy? But this is kind of what I like. Wanted to put a matte finish on everything just to kind of level it out and maybe not have as much gloss to it. So we'll see how well this does and holds up. So far I'm pretty excited about this. Oh, these are going to be great. These are handles that have that industrial black pipe look to it, and I am going to install these on the door as pull handles. And I got these on Amazon for both of them for under $20, so I was really excited about that. But before I put these on, I'm going to take a little bit of gold or that copper paint, and I'm going to just hit some little parts around the edges of this to give it that black oiled look. So now I just want to do one last thing on this that I think will help punch this out. Well, I have some of these tie-down rings, and I'm going to use these to just as decorations on the door, and I think that'll look kind of cool. Okay, so I'm really pretty excited on how this turned out. You know, I stumbled over a lot of stuff. Started out with different stains, different finishes on this. I ended up with what I like. It has kind of an old look to it, and I'm happy with that. If you have some suggestions or ideas, put them in the comment section down below. And in the meantime, well, I'll see you soon.